Hi guys, it's Melina MacDonald from IntimacyTV, where we're all about raw conversation with real education. Slotting in very quickly our next character that is from the book Win the Dating Game. In the book we talk about the 10 different kinds of guys that we date, and the next one is Mr. High IQ, Low EQ. So I'm going to slot this in quickly before I head into the city, because I am going to interview someone for speed dating tonight. So stay tuned for that one. Okay, Mr. High IQ, Low EQ that I talk about in the book. Dame is an interesting one. He's generally the kind of guy that I never really had a lot to do with. So originally when I wrote the book, I actually did a lot of research. However, I have actually dated someone like this within the last year, and holy moly, was he exactly like what I wrote down. So it was very, very interesting, because at first, he was like, so tell me about Mr. High IQ, Low EQ. Now, for those of you that don't know what EQ is, it's emotional intelligence. So he actually asked me what I wrote in the book, and as we were seeing each other, he was like, maybe I am. So they look very similar to Mr. Unavailable. Generally speaking, look, they're a breed of their own. This particular personality type, you'll find that they're more the scholars and the brainiacs and the nerds and the mathematicians. So sometimes they can make you feel just a little bit inadequate. You feel like you're a kid because, they might talk in code a lot. Generally speaking, 85% of them have very introverted traits. They're all about facts and figures. And unfortunately, these gentlemen, look, they're very, very smart, but because of that, they just haven't had that emotional intelligence. They haven't been able to build that part of them. So, because of that, they really do struggle to maintain relationships. They tend to also hold it in the workplace. You'll find that they hold a position of power. So they'll tend to be someone that is, more I'm going to say, the kind of guy that does, supervisors roles, where they're literally going to be doing, a lot of facts and figures and stuff like that. When we talk about the emotional state, what it really is they just don't have the ability to control their emotions. So that's why the EQ is a little bit lower. So at first you might get confused in regards to, is he Mr. Unavailable when you're actually meeting them? However, there is some different traits there. With these guys, they do know the emotions, however, on the extreme. So they know fear, hatred, and anger. So what they're not good with is they're not good with like sympathy or using their intuition or imagination or flexibility. They're a little bit more rigid, and that's what you're going to notice with this particular kind of man. On the extreme end of this one, I do talk about, and there is the term in here, wife basher. So don't think that every guy that has a high IQ and a low EQ, is a wife basher. This is to the extreme. And, with this one, look, it's more has to do with what was their childhood experience. If they've had quite a traumatic childhood, they will tend, because they don't know how to process their emotions, they do tend to lash out. So that is the extreme of this particular personality type. Think of Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory, not with the wife bashing, but as in high IQ, low EQ. Think of what he's like. So these guys, they tend to like more your sci-fi, so your manga and your sci-fi and your, they like things that have what they would call superior intelligence. So it's interesting that they may not be into the spiritual woo-woo. However, they like that, the superior intelligent concept that you get with the sci-fi. And Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory is exactly the kind of guy that I'm talking about. They do have quite an unrealistic perception of the world. So just keep that in mind. They have lower self-esteem. So with these guys, negative feedback does not go very well, and they 100% have a very warped perception of themselves and a little bit of a superiority complex. And this is what I discovered. So I found that when I literally dated the high IQ, low EQ, his perception of himself was extremely warped. And there were moments where we had these conversations where I'm like, Wow. Okay. So, yeah, like, do you know who you are? So you'll find that because they've got that warped perception of themselves, it can make them bringing them down to earth a little bit more difficult. They are all about logic. However, they just don't know how to deal with their emotions very well. We talk about it a lot more in the book. In the dating game, I go a lot more into depth in regards to this personality type. They're definitely an interesting personality type to be with. So we get down to what are they like in bed? Well, look, here's the deal. Like Mr. Unavailable, it's going to be, all quite, simple, logical. These guys, they tend to, sex with strangers with them is totally fine. And if it's sort of like they like superficial people, so it's nearly like for themselves, it's a bit of an ego boost if they've actually been with someone that, has is well known or whatever. It's nearly like I can name drop, but I'm name dropping to myself. Look, they tend to have a lot of, premarital wise, they have less premarital sexual partners than anyone else. They are more of a monogamous creature, but they're not going to have much sexual experience. So don't expect them to be completely whiz bang in the bedroom. However, because, they're a little bit more, they like their tech and stuff like that. These guys do tend to spend a little bit more money on sex toys. So, more than likely they're going to find something that they're good at and they're going to stick with that trait. So they're not going to have a really good broad range in the bedroom, but you will find that they will have a trick that they do very, very well. What else can I tell you about these guys? Oh, because it is said, and it's a theory, that the high IQ, low EQ man tends to have a lowest testosterone in their system. So the libido is a little bit lower than you will find. So, don't expect to be having rampant sex, all the time with these guys. It'll be more, they're more your mates, and you'll hang out with them a lot more often. And when you do it, they'll pull some tricks out of the bag. That'll be pretty good anyway. So what's their perfect partner if that's the case? Look, these guys, it's really difficult for them to see woman as a whole package. So they'll tend to actually hone in on certain things and they will like certain things about you. However, it is really important that the woman that they're actually looking at, that they are still of quite high quality, both physically and mentally. So they tend to be attracted to that, and maybe even attracted to a specific part of your anatomy. So they might just always be a titty man, for example, and they really, really hone in and focus on that. As I said, they have a warped perception of themselves, so it's very interesting the kind of woman. Let's just say these guys will definitely bat above their average. How do you dump Mr. High IQ, low EQ? Well, because his emotional intelligence isn't very good, you need to do it, number one, in a very logical way. And number two, try and stroke his ego as you do it. You could say, something like, I don't know, I've outgrown you, or, look, I feel like a 16-year-old girl every time I'm with you because you're just so much smarter than me and you makes me feel dumb, and I'd rather you be with somebody else that actually, is on your level. So that's Mr. High IQ, low EQ. You can get more information on IntimacyTV.com.au in our product section, or go to winthedatinggame.com.au and have a look at the book. Tomorrow I will be doing our 5th different personality type or archetype, which is called Mr. Perceived Perfect. So that one is a very, very interesting one. Make sure you go onto the website and have a look. We do have a new magazine, so make sure you go onto intimacy.com.au/magazines. I'm off to the city, to the speed dating. Until our next episode, it's bye from me. See you guys.